Hello, everybody. What's up? Um, yeah, this is new. This is different. I have never. Let me turn that off. This is a great start to having your phone go off. I just kind of wanted to do a quick. Let me adjust my mic a little bit. I just want to do a quick, real short live stream discussion. Kind of about my journey on addiction and sobriety, because I've been doing this month. I've been doing this last month of January, entirely sober. No marijuana, no alcohol. I haven't even taken Adderall, my prescribed Adderall. I've also quit pornography since, well, that happened back in early December. So yeah, that's kind of the journey I've been doing. I've definitely still been living off of CBD and coffee. That's been kind of my how I've gone through the month. The first thing I kind of wanted to say though before I start this is not like an advocacy to quit any substance, or maybe I should say this is not a demonization of any drug use or alcohol use, because as a libertarian, not to get political, but as a libertarian, I believe that everyone has the right to consume whatever substance they want, whether that's alcohol, cigarettes, meth, heroin, marijuana, anything. And I don't condone anybody for using any substance. So I want to just make that clear off the bat. This is not me. This is not me saying, "Hey, you're bad for doing whatever." At all. If there are people who can drink, there are people who can do anything. There are people who can watch porn fine. And, I think that's, if you really are someone who that doesn't affect your life, I think that's great. And I have no issues with that. So yeah, I guess there are a couple things I want to talk about with this. I guess the first thing is I have decided to quit drinking permanently. I don't think alcohol's on the top of the list for me personally. I don't think it's really on the top of the list for me in terms of things that affected me negatively. However, I think just due to past experiences with both friends, family, my family has a deep history of alcoholism. My ex-wife was an alcoholic. I've had a lot of friends who I've seen go down that path and kind of get lost in that. So that's kind of something I just decided that I'm not. I kind of just realized I'm looking down at the screen, not the camera. So I apologize in advance. So yeah, so I guess that's just kind of where I'm at in it. I don't necessarily have a problem. Like personally, I don't feel like I have, I've had alcoholic episodes in my life previously. Like I'm not saying I've never been there. But it's just not something for me that just not something that I felt was really on high of the list. But, regardless, I just think, for me, and this is just my, based on my experience, I just think it inhibits people to a point where it's just not something I want to do. A lot of times I feel like I've drinking for social pressure. And I've realized in my life that I'm not someone who cares, or at least my ethos. I'm not supposed to care about what other people think. I've never been that kind of person. So I kind of felt like I was lying to myself in a way, thinking that I need to do that. And it's sad because I do enjoy alcohol. I do enjoy the taste of alcohol. I guess it's not sad. It's sad in that sense, I guess. I definitely will. There's an aspect to that I will miss, but I think the cons outweigh the pros. And look, it's going to be a cheaper, thing for me to not have to drink. So yeah, there's my stance on that. And I guess with the sobriety overall, it's kind of been an interesting dichotomy because, I feel like in place of these addictions, I've just like started drinking coffee like crazy, and that's not healthy either, you know. And I think down the road that might be something I tackle as well. But you know, I think it just speaks to the you know, I think everybody has a vice. You know, I think some people use work and religion the same way that some people use hard drugs, quote unquote hard drugs. Like I truly do believe that. So yeah, I guess with the Lauren, switch to tea, caffeine, water. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm just gonna mute that. Talk to a blank screen. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate you. I hope you're doing well, by the way, with your alcohol. So yeah, I guess to carry on to the next point, the marijuana use, that's something that I've been kind of working towards stepping back from. I'm not going to quit my marijuana use. Tomorrow, dry January ends, and I'm going to be right back to smoking the blunt. Not quite the same way. I do want to substitute CBD, and I do want to decrease my use overall. And I do hope in the future to go on, you know, more month-long streaks, or, you know, maybe even short 3-week stints. I've actually thought about doing like a 3-month reset. And this is something I'm going to get into later with the pornography, but there's a true like 90-day mark that I've experienced with both quitting cigarettes and quitting pornography that I've really felt has worked. Like it's kind of, like I always kind of thought it was a bullshit thing, like 90 days, but it really, when you get past that 90 days, and it's not like you're never gonna have that, but the physical aspect, like the anxiety and the discomfort, like that is significantly alleviated when you get past that 90-day mark. That's something I've realized for 2 things in my life that I've quit. So, you know, with the marijuana, I'm kind of curious what that would do. Speaking of anxiety, you know, I should have fucking like, you know, I ran out of CBD and I didn't get any today, and I should have probably had this before doing some like, you know, semi-serious fucking live stream here. And you know, I guess I want to reiterate again, I don't want to be, like the thing that I do not want to be is the guy who is like a prick. I don't want to be the Steve-O guy who's like, you know, condemning people for their drug use. You know, I want people to still come into the podcast with a beer, be able to relax. I still want people to, you know, do whatever they want around me. And I don't want them to feel like I'm going to judge them, because I'm not. I'm really not. None of this has to do with me, my outlook on anything. This is just my personal thing. Okay. Now the hard one. So in talking about my addiction, I think the biggest thing for me that has really crippled me is pornography. It's something I was exposed to. I've talked about this a little bit in the podcast, but it really took me until probably the last 3 months to determine that I really had a problem with it. I was exposed to it at a fairly young age, around I think 8 or 9. I was in grade school, and my friends had some, you know, their dads had a big stack of Playboys, and they stole Playboy, and they took a Playboy, and they, you know, cut it all up, and they had a little like den. They had this little like, you know, because we were country kids and shit. Well, they were. I lived in this small town, but they were country kids, and they had this little like den that they hung out in, and like it was just plastered with nudies, you know, magazine nudes. And you know, growing up strict Catholic, that was not something I was exposed to, and as much as I love my parents, I do think that the strict nature of my upbringing had a serious negative impact on my view of sexuality and pornography. And I think this is the case for a lot of people, especially those that grew up in a religious household. When you do not have a structure to talk about that kind of stuff, you kind of get like the pornography fills you. Like it's stupid. It sounds stupid for years where it's like, porn isn't realistic and this is gonna, rot your brain. And like, when you're in it, that sounds dumb, right? But it's not until you step out there, you're like, oh, this really has had a negative impact on me. And this is kind of, I think around like probably 14, 15, I really started getting into it. I would watch it, 5 to 6 times a day. There would be whole days I would spend doing it. It got really bad to the point this last year where I was spending like hundreds of dollars on cam sites, porn sites, all that. And it really just got to a point where it didn't reflect reality anymore. It wasn't like I wanted that in real life, or that, the women in real life who resemble that, it wasn't something that I was interested in real life. It was just on the pixels. It was an unhealthy separation from my partner, and not only my current partners I've had in the past. And you don't really realize it until you step back. So that was like, I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. When I finally admitted to myself that I was spending too much money, talking to other women, etc., and just not indulging good behavior. I think that's when I really figured out that, oh, this is really a problem. And, I think people have a hard time in this society, in the world that we live in, and how much is out there, how hard it is to really come to realization that this is a problem, that this is something that is that can really ruin things. Not even in a relationship. I mean, it can really ruin your perception of life. Treating women like objects. And and I think that this is going to be the controversial one, but it's not just a man issue. I think, women play a part in buying into it. And it's not really anybody's fault. I'm not saying it's my mic is off. It's not the fault. It's not anybody's fault. I should clarify that. It's not like I'm attacking anyone, but like everyone plays into it. People kind of view it as a man issue, but it's really a women's issue too. And I think you find that a lot with the newer generations of women. A lot of them are indulging in that more. And it has an effect. It has an effect on relationships. And I'm not a fucking relationship expert in anything, but I can tell you from being divorced and, whatever else, that it is a problem. Fuck, I didn't even record on my I didn't record in the Zoom. Good thing I recorded on that here. And yeah, so it's been a journey. I installed a lot of porn blockers. That was kind of the first step. Is I gave my partner the code, the nuke codes, and I really, I had to set timers on my social media, because that's what makes it so hard. Is there's so much, there's so many thirst traps on the internet, and that can really, that for me, that was always the thing that triggered me. I would open TikTok and I would see a butt, and then I would, okay, look at her page. Oh, she has OnlyFans, and then boom, 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 boom. You're there. And then, you get to the point where you're at work or at school, and you're like looking at your phone. You're looking at, you're like messaging cam girls on your phone, crazy shit like that. It really just spiraled out of control for me. So yeah, I know that people don't really think of pornography like a quote unquote drug, but I think they really should. I really think people should put pornography next to. I would argue that this is a controversial statement, but I would honestly argue it may be more detrimental than things like heroin. Heroin, I've never taken heroin, but from what I understand about heroin, you can kick it in a week. Like pretty it's hard, it's difficult, but like, your body can get over that withdrawal pretty quick, relatively. But with pornography, I mean, I'm about to be, I'm almost at the 90-day mark for no masturbating to porn. And even at that point, I still struggle with images. I have just, maybe this is me being autistic, but I just have like files and files and files of all these images from 20 years just piled up in my brain. And it's a hard thing to get out, man. So yeah, I guess I hope this wasn't too, I feel like my mic has been off this whole time. I don't know. I hope this wasn't too cringy for everybody listening through this. And I hope that anyone that is dealing with any kind of addiction can, maybe they can look at this and know that, they're not alone. They really aren't. And, I think a lot of people downplay pornography, and downplay the addiction. And, like I said, with, like I was saying about other drugs, there are people who can use pornography in a healthy way. And, maybe they can even get some benefit to it. I'm not denying that. But for me personally, it got out of control. And I think for most people, it's probably at a point where it shouldn't be. Maybe not a point it shouldn't be, but a point where it's detrimental to their life, detrimental to their relationships, etc. So yeah, that's kind of my journey. Like I said, I've decided to quit. I actually have a counter right here. Hold on. I got this little app. It's called Nomo. I really recommend it. You can actually see all of the, you have little clocks. Here, I'm pull this up here. So I have little clocks where I know I have the protective screen, so I don't know if you can actually see it, but I have different clocks for different things. When I viewed porn, which has been 15 days, masturbation, which has been 84, alcohol, which has been 30, and I've been free from cigarette use for 1,018 days. Not something I had really thought about until I actually put it in the counter, because I quit that about 3 years ago. And going back to the power of addiction, that's still something I struggle with. There's still days where I go to the gas station and I look at a pack of cigarettes. And I'm like, oh, that's how much it cost? I could afford that. No, I mean, if I've always told anyone, like, if I got back into a nicotine addiction, it would be cigars. Like, cigarettes are just, when you get into a cigar, like, cigarettes are just nasty. I can't even imagine going back to that. And that's the thing when you quit cigarettes too, is like you can smell it from 3 miles away. I mean, literally. There's a lady like 3-4 houses down from me that goes out and smokes a cigarette, and I can smell it like it's right in front of my face every time I go to my house. And you can tell when somebody's been smoking. Going back to smells, it's kind of interesting. Like I was at a show, Lolo Savage's birthday, shout out to him, and I was completely sober then too. And how strongly, how pungently you could smell alcohol. I mean, that was something I had never experienced before. Not even like people having a drink in their hand, people just having had drink, I could smell it on their breath. Like, and it's just, I don't know, it just speaks to like absence, I guess. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. That's my mini journey, I guess. I don't know. I've also struggled with Xanax use. I've been pretty open about that in the podcast. That's been years. I quit that before the cigarettes. So yeah, if anybody has any stories to share or wants any, has anything they want to say, put down in the comments, if you're someone who's struggling, I know I'm a busy guy, but you can always reach out to me. And one more thing I want to say, to any friends or family who, maybe thinks that they are, that maybe you have that thought in the back of your head, like, oh, am I doing this too much? It's not a bad idea to try. It's not a bad idea to just say, hey, what happens if I go a week without this? And if you find it really hard to go that week, maybe it's something to consider. I know there's kind of like the medicinal argument, and that does hold some weight to it. for sure. But I'm a true believer if it's something like anxiety. I think using things like Xanax or marijuana for that can inhibit you more than help. So despite it being prescribed by a doctor or whatever, I'm a firm believer in that. Anyways, yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in to this bonus personal live stream. This has been kind of a wild ride doing this a little bit here. Shit, is it 6:50 already? God damn. Way longer than I thought it would. So yeah, go check out the YouTube. We're here every Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. We got another episode coming up with Louie here this Thursday. Like I said, I hope you guys all are well. Let me know if you need anything. All right. Peace, guys. Have a good one.